The first time I found out I lost my family, I wasn't even in the room. I was standing in a hospital hallway in Baltimore, still wearing my scrubs, holding a cup of cold coffee I never finished. My phone rang, and it was my mother, but her voice didn't sound like a mother. It sounded like someone delivering a verdict. She said slowly, "Sophia, we checked your records." My stomach dropped instantly. I asked what records, and after a pause she said, "You're not in any rotation records anymore." I blinked, confused, and told her I was literally on trauma surgery rotation that week. There was silence, then my father came on the line, too calm, saying, "Emily sent us screenshots." That name hit differently, Emily, my sister. I straightened up immediately and asked what screenshots. Another pause followed, and then my mother said something worse. She said you were removed from the program, for academic failure. I actually laughed because it sounded absurd. I told them I was standing inside Johns Hopkins Hospital after a 14-hour shift, but nobody laughed back. Instead, I heard typing in the background, like they were checking something, confirming something. Then my mother said, "Your dean confirmed it." That sentence froze me completely because I had spoken to my dean just 2 days earlier. I asked slowly if they were saying I wasn't in medical school anymore, and my father simply said, "Yes." Then came the final blow. He said Emily claimed I dropped out months ago and sent proof. I asked what proof, and suddenly Emily herself joined the call. Her voice was soft, controlled, almost too confident. I immediately said she was lying, but my mother interrupted with something that shook me. Why would she fake hospital emails? In that moment, something felt wrong. I told them I had never received anything like that. Emily insisted she sent everything to them directly, then added I had been struggling and wasn't stable. My hands started shaking because I wasn't just defending myself anymore, I was being replaced in real time. I asked to see the proof, and for a second there was silence. Then my mother said something I will never forget, "We already made our decision." Not anger, not discussion, just a decision. After that, everything collapsed. My access to university systems stopped working that same week. My hospital badge suddenly didn't scan properly. When I went to administration, they looked at me like I didn't exist and told me I had been withdrawn from the program. I said that was impossible, but they showed me a record stating I had left voluntarily. I hadn't. That night, I tried calling my parents again, no answer. Emily didn't reply either. Hours later, I received a message from an unknown number containing a screenshot of an email supposedly from me, saying I was leaving medical school due to personal failure. But I had never written it, and at the bottom was my digital signature, except I had never signed anything like that. My heart dropped because someone hadn't just lied about me, they had built proof around it. And it was airtight. Within weeks, my family stopped responding completely. Within a month, I was blocked everywhere. By the time I graduated from Johns Hopkins, there was one empty seat in the auditorium, my family's. I stood there in my white coat watching strangers clap while realizing I had been erased from their version of reality. That night, I made a decision: if they believed I was nothing, I would become someone impossible to ignore. What I didn't know then was that 5 years later, the same sister who erased me from my life would come through the doors of my trauma center at St. Luke's Memorial Hospital bleeding out on a stretcher, and I would have 90 seconds to decide whether she lived or died. And the worst part was that when I saw her face, I didn't feel shock first, I felt recognition. Deep down, I already knew this moment was coming. After that night, something inside me shut off quietly, like a door closing in an empty house. I stayed in Baltimore for a few weeks, watching everything disappear piece by piece: my email access, hospital systems, badge authorization. Every system repeated the same thing: I had voluntarily withdrawn. It stopped sounding like information and started sounding like reality correcting itself around me. Then I received a forwarded email from my parents' account showing an official withdrawal notice with my name and signature. Except I had never seen it before. I zoomed in again and again, and something about the signature felt off, not fake, just too perfect, like someone had studied me closely enough to become me. That night, I got a message from Emily telling me to stop trying to fix it. When I called her, she warned me not to go back into the hospital system because I didn't know who was watching it. Then something impossible happened. My hospital badge suddenly pinged and my profile briefly reappeared as active, employed, and assigned. Then it vanished again. When I called Emily back, she sounded afraid, telling me I didn't know who was watching and that I should stop before they noticed I was still trying to come back. That was when I realized she wasn't fully in control of what was happening either. I left Baltimore and eventually matched into residency at Northwestern Memorial Hospital in Chicago. I didn't go there for a fresh start, I went there because I needed somewhere no one had rewritten me yet. The first year was brutal, trauma cases, endless shifts, no time to think. But during surgeries, I sometimes felt brief blank moments, like missing pieces of memory I couldn't access. One night, I looked at my reflection in the scrub room and didn't fully recognize myself. Months passed like that until one night at 2:06 a.m., a trauma alert came in. Female patient, severe internal bleeding. When the stretcher arrived, I saw her face, and everything stopped. Emily Carter. My sister. The nurse asked if I knew her, and I didn't answer right away because my mind couldn't process her as a patient. It processed her as a contradiction. Then my system pinged a warning, do not proceed without clearance confirmation. I had never seen that protocol before. Someone had flagged her before she even arrived. That realization hit harder than the trauma itself. This wasn't random. This was pre-selected. As we rushed her into the OR, strange things began happening. The hospital felt subtly off, like reality was adjusting itself. Her patient profile flickered on the monitor, and for half a second tag appeared, match confirmed, S. Reynolds. My breathing stopped. That wasn't possible. Then Emily's lips moved slightly, and I heard something like my name, distorted and unclear, as if it wasn't coming from her alone. I forced myself back into control. Surgery began. Blood stabilized. But the system glitches didn't stop. Her vitals corrected too quickly, unnaturally, as if the system itself was adjusting outcomes. That's when I understood something terrifying. The hospital system wasn't passive, it was responsive. And it reacted to my awareness. She survived the surgery and was moved to ICU room 312. I stood outside for a long time before entering, because once the operation ended, there was nothing left to distract me. Only questions. When I finally walked in, Emily was awake. Weak, injured, but conscious. She saw me immediately and whispered my name like it hurt to say it. I asked her why she did it. At first she couldn't look at me. Then she finally admitted she had seen how much I was admired and felt tired of being second. She said she didn't plan everything at first, she just told them I was struggling, and they believed her more than they believed me. And once they stopped asking about me, it became easier to continue than to fix it. Then my parents arrived. My father froze when he saw me in scrubs, as if trying to rewrite reality again. My mother said they didn't know and that Emily told them I left medicine and was struggling. They believed her. They thought they were helping. But it was too late for explanations. I told them they didn't lose me because of her, they lost me because they never checked the truth. No one responded. Emily apologized weakly, but apologies don't repair 5 years of absence, they only confirm it happened. I turned to leave. My mother asked if I was leaving again, and I said without turning back, I already left a long time ago. But as I stepped into the hallway, my pager went off again. Emergency trauma alert. And this time, the note attached said, victim has unidentified prior connection to Dr. Reynolds. That's when I realized this wasn't just my sister's case. Someone had been watching this entire situation unfold. And the truth about why she really lied was still missing. The next morning, something felt off. Not dramatic or obvious, just wrong in a quiet, unsettling way. I walked into the hospital like I always did, same doors, same hallways, and same familiar rhythm, but when I reached the nurse's station, they were already looking at me. One of them spoke carefully, "Dr. Reynolds, your patient from last night is already in the system." I paused, confused. "What do you mean?" She turned the monitor toward me, and there it was, a patient file. Emily Reynolds. Status, critical. Assigned physician, Dr. Sophia Reynolds. I stared at it, my mind struggling to catch up. The timestamp didn't make sense. It was logged 3 hours before she even arrived at the hospital. I felt my chest tighten slightly. "That's not possible," I said under my breath. The nurse frowned. "That's what I thought too." I didn't respond. I just turned and walked straight to ICU room 312. She was still there, alive, breathing, real. So I asked her something simple. "Emily, what do you remember about last night?" She looked at me, slightly confused. "The accident, and then waking up here. That was it. No gaps. No distortion. No signs of anything unusual. Just a normal memory." And somehow, that made it worse. Because now there were only 2 possibilities left: either the system was wrong, or something had already been decided before any of this even happened. And I didn't know which one was more terrifying. I was still standing in ICU room 312 when the nurse walked in. She glanced at the monitors, then at me, her expression tightening slightly. "Doctor, who are you talking to?" I frowned. "What do you mean?" She hesitated, then stepped closer to the bed. "There's no patient assigned to this room." Silence filled the space between us. Slowly, I turned my head. Emily was right there, exactly where she had been, looking at me, not fading, not breaking, just there. "You can see her, right?" I asked, my voice quieter than I expected. The nurse didn't react. "There's no one here." Something in my chest tightened, not fear, but something heavier. I looked back at Emily, and for the first time, she didn't look scared. She looked calm. Like she understood something I didn't. "Do you remember what you promised me?" she asked softly. My throat went dry. "Yes." Her eyes stayed locked on mine. "Say it." I stepped closer to the bed, my voice barely holding together. I said, "I wouldn't forget you." She smiled, but it wasn't relief, it was acceptance. "Then don't," she whispered. "Because if you do, then it means I was never real to anyone." The words hit harder than anything before. The monitor beside her flickered once. I reached for her hand, warm, real, undeniable. "I remember you," I said, stronger this time. "I remember everything." Tears filled her eyes, but she didn't look away. "Then that's enough," she said. Slowly, gently, her fingers loosened in mine, not sudden, not violent, just a quiet release, like someone finally letting go after holding on for too long. The monitor flattened into a sharp, endless tone. The nurse rushed forward, telling me to step back, but I couldn't move. Because when I looked down again, the bed was empty. No body. No blood. No trace that anyone had ever been there. Just me, standing in a silent room, still holding nothing. And in that moment, I understood something I never had before. Memories don't prove someone existed. They only prove that someone is still remembering them.